All right. I think we're live. We're starting a few minutes early this evening. And before I get going here, I'm just going to give you guys the regular disclaimers I normally give. If this is your first time here, this is a weekly live broadcast. Most weeks I'm here Thursday evenings, 7 o'clock Central. We usually go for about an hour. It's just an Ask Me Anything session. I don't have anything planned out here. So you ask me a question in the live chat itself, and I do my best to respond to that. I haven't been real good about responding to comments lately, but I'm hoping to fix that pretty quick. So this is your opportunity, if you've got something I haven't answered in the comments, to ask me, or whatever you want to ask me. Just keep it family friendly. Don't be rude. Don't be hateful. Don't bring in politics or anything like that. Don't just spam us with your comments or anything. We'll get to them. So, all right, let's get started. I will tell you guys this is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. I'm only going to do a half hour tonight. It's my wife's birthday. I didn't think about that ahead of time and reschedule. Not reschedule her birthday, reschedule the live broadcast. So I need to take her out to dinner. I don't need to. I want to take her out to dinner. So we're going to end it a little bit early this evening. So let's jump right in and see how much we can get answered. We got Mark here saying, hey, everybody. Chris, I asked you and Terry Tuesday about the quail knocking the water cups off. I remember that. Said, found out the little cam that holds it on the peg was bent slightly, if that makes sense. That does make sense. So hopefully you got that fixed. And then you said, 4 of us want to wait for Chris. Yeah, well, we always have a couple of people waiting. We got, good grief, we got 31 people in here now. And Kathy, thank you so much for the kind comments. She says, worth the wait. I set a weekly alarm. I hate to miss one. Well, I'm glad you guys made it. I always look forward to Thursday evenings, coming and hanging out with you guys a little bit, getting to interact with you guys a little bit, especially since, like I said, I haven't been really good about responding to comments lately. So, Will says, have you ever used leg bands? No, I don't band my quail. I've never used leg bands myself. I know they make some. I don't know if they make them specifically for quail, but they make them for like pigeons and things like that would probably work pretty well on quail. But I don't know much about them. I have never used them. All right, Taco says, happy birthday to your wife. God bless. Awesome to watch your channel. Well, thank you so much. I'll tell her you said happy birthday to her. Henry says, if you had to pick between only raising quail or rabbit, which would you pick? Also have a nice dinner. Well, thank you. Let's see, which would I pick? Sorry, I got distracted by another comment, which I'll get to in a minute. It's hard to say for sure. Probably the quail, if I had to pick between one, just because you can ramp up and down so fast with quail. You can just, much faster than you can with rabbits. They don't take nearly as much space. That's probably why I would choose quail. But boy, it's nice to have the rabbits too. I mean, there are multiple benefits to having them as well. So it's hard to choose. But if I had to put on the spot, probably the quail. All right, Ken Folks says, what's up, Chris? Squirrel season starts Saturday in Georgia. Let's get pumped. Well, hey, good luck with the squirrel hunting. It just doesn't feel right to me. Squirrel season's open here all year. It closes in mid-February and it opens back up in May. So you've got just a couple of months there to let them breed and those kinds of things, and then it's open. But it doesn't seem right to me to hunt squirrel in the summertime. I don't know why. It just seems weird. So I always wait till fall or winter time to hunt squirrel. But hey, good luck with your hunting. Hopefully it goes well. Kathy says, happy birthday to your wife, and may she have many, many more. Thank you so much. Hello to you, rookies. And Logan says, hey, Chris, if you had a young doe and you were planning to breed it, what age would you breed it and why? Best age, wait till they're at least 6 months old. Right at 6 months old or older is a good time to go ahead and breed your rabbits because they're pretty much fully sexually mature at that point. You don't really want to breed them before then. They're just not usually quite mature enough at that point. I don't know that it does any damage, but I kind of feel like it might do some damage to them if you try to breed them too young. So yeah, wait till 6 months. That's just the common wisdom. They're usually ready to breed at 6 months old or older. All right, Verna says, good to see you again. Thanks, good to see you again too. Yerabiz says, hi, I love your videos. How many does and bucks would I need to eat 7 rabbits a week? Oh boy, you're gonna make me do math. Let's see, 7 rabbits a week. So if you wanted to eat 7 rabbits a week, you're gonna need a lot of rabbits. So let's see, let's work backwards from that. 7 rabbits, work back like say 8 weeks, if they're just assuming that they mature enough to be butchered at 8 weeks. You got good bloodlines, let's do it that way. So you work back 8 weeks, that's 2 months. You're gonna need to have doe bred 30 days before that. A next one bred the next week. a Nix one bred. The Nix, I don't think I can do that math because you're looking at, you know, four does bred every month to keep you in rabbits, and they're not going to be ready to breed again for another, let's see, another 2.5 months. Let's just make it 2 months to make it easier math. So you would need 4 rabbits. You would breed them every week, and then another 4 rabbits. So you're looking at 8 does. That gets you out 2 months, and then the first one would breed. So probably 12 does. Hey, there's Lars. Look at that with a nice super chat, and happy birthday to my wife. Well, thank you so much, Lars. You're so very generous. I appreciate that. So where are we at? 4, 8, probably 12, at least 12, maybe 15 does. You might be able to get away with just 1 buck, but I'd probably go with at least 2, just to make sure, just in case something happens to one of them or whatever. So that's kind of the quick math on that. Who knows if that's right or not. Well, actually, that may be a little overstating it, because now I'm thinking about it. No, that's probably pretty close. I mean, you may get more than 7 rabbits out of every litter. You may only get 7 rabbits out of every litter on average. So that's probably pretty close. Hard to say for sure. I don't think I'd want to eat 7 rabbits a week, though. That's an awful, I mean, I'd want to break that up. That'd be kind of monotonous to me. But hey, do whatever you want to do. All right, Bubba, good to see you again. Says, hope everything's going well. Wanted to ask, do your quail freak out when you mow around the hutch? Not as bad as you would expect. Sometimes they get a little bit skittish when I'm doing stuff around there, like mowing or whatever. But usually, when I mow, they don't. Of course, I'm not mowing right under the hutch either. I mean, I don't mow behind it. I just mow in front of it, and I'm not really that close to them. Probably a good, I don't know, 7, 8 feet away from the hutch when I'm mowing, and but no, it doesn't seem to bother them that much. The rabbits either, really. So. Kathy Hampson says, fried rabbit, oh my God, my mouth just about grew arms to slap me. See, I don't think fried rabbit's all that great. It's a little bit too lean to me to fry. It comes out a little tough, but it doesn't taste bad. It's just a little on the tough side. But yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, I'll grab a drink there. All right, Spencer says, hello everyone. Chris, I wanted to start saving eggs to hatch. But I do not have a way of keeping the eggs at 50 degrees. Can I safely keep them in the fridge, or what can I do? You know, don't stress too much. You need to keep them between about 50 degrees and about 70 degrees. You know, there's a pretty good range there. I wouldn't put them in the fridge. That's a little too chilly for them. What I do is I just put them in a cooler with, you know, first of all, my house is air conditioned, so I could probably just leave them out on the counter. But it, you know, during the day it gets up probably 75 or 76, and that's a little warm. So I put them in a cooler, and I take one of those, like freezer, you stick them in the freezer, ice pack type things. They're like, I don't, you know what I'm talking about. You stick them in the freezer and they freeze. They're not filled with ice, they're filled with like some kind of gel or something. And I put that in the cooler in the morning, and then I just switch it out the next morning. It doesn't freeze the eggs, it doesn't get it that cold, but it keeps it cool in there. And that works just fine. So you can do something very similar to that. All right, Chris says, good evening from Arkansas. Well, good evening to you. Thanks for joining. Val says, waiting for my incubator to arrive any hour now. Going to be putting duck eggs in there. Oh, that's got to be exciting. Always fun whenever you got something new coming in the mail and you know it's going to show up at any time. So good luck with that. I hope it works well. Rookies, did you say you feed quail wild game bird starter for their entire life? If so, do you supplement with calcium or add grit? Thanks, Steve. Okay, I don't feed them wild game bird starter. I feed them a game bird starter. And I get that from a feed store, just like you buy chicken starter or any of those kinds of things. But no, I don't feed them. It's a game bird crumble. So as long as you're feeding them that kind of stuff, I don't find the need to add calcium or grit. Calcium level of a quail, the requirements are about 1.5 to 2%, and most game bird starter is already got 1.5 to 2% calcium in it. So there's no need to add any additional calcium. You don't really need to add any grit unless they're eating like lots of bugs or grains or those kinds of things that are not already ground up into a crumble feed. I do have a sandbox for them, so if they needed grit, they could go ahead and they probably do eat some of that sand and use it, but I don't purposefully provide grit for them, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. All right. Excuse me. Logan says, thank you, you're welcome. Katernix Corners here says, just stopped in to say thanks again, Chris. Happy birthday to the missus. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show the other night. I really had a good time there. We'll have to do that again at some point. And thanks all you guys that showed up over there and watched the live broadcast. I know we have lots of viewers from here going over there and checking out Terry's channel over there. Go check it out again. He's got some great content over there. Lots of good information. I'm sure you guys would enjoy his channel just probably more than mine, actually. So maybe I shouldn't send you over there. But I'm kidding. Do it. Go check out his channel. Renato says, hi, Chris. Good morning from Manila. Happy birthday to the wife. What do you think of some French rabbit breeders breeding their does as early as 4.5 months? Yeah, I think that's a little early, but again, it depends a little bit on the breed. And if they're doing it and it's working for them, who am I to say any different? My personal opinion, I wouldn't breed before 6 months old. That's just my opinion. Now, some of the pet rabbits, like your mini Rexes and those things, they do mature a little bit faster. It seems like the bigger the rabbit, the longer it takes to mature. So you got to kind of keep that in context. I don't know what these French rabbit breeders are if they're breeding, like mini Lops or those kinds of, mini Rexes or whatever, and they're breeding for pet industry. That's different than meat rabbits that are, like a 10-pound adult rabbit. Or a Flemish giant for that matter. They take a lot longer. They take almost a year to get, fully mature. But anyway, I can't say specifically without seeing the specifics of it. But all right. Kathy says, Chris, can you do some more chicken videos? Well, I don't have any chickens right now. I probably do them again in the spring, do another run of meat chickens, but until then, I don't have any chickens. So we'll see what we can do about with some chicken videos, though. I don't know if I can come up with anything. Petway Family Farmstead says, what's up at Kinfolk? Need some squirrel and dumplings. That's one of my favorite ways to eat squirrel, too. Rachel says, getting ready to incubate for a new batch of quail. Well, good luck. Hopefully that goes well. Mark says, hi, Chris. Ohio here. I have a 3-week-old quail that is limping. It has a knot on its toe. It's not bloody, like it's injured it. Any thoughts on what it is and if it's fixable? Boy, it could be a number of different things. You say a knot on its toe. I'm assuming it's probably on the top of its toe. It could have sprung it. It could have broken its bone or something like that. Chances are it'll probably heal up just fine, and the bird will be just fine. There's not really much you can do, probably. If it ever gets to a point, watch it. If it looks like it's abscessing or it's been infected or something, you may need to lance it, drain it, pull whatever's in there causing the infection. If it's on the underside of the toe, that's a little bit different. That's probably something similar to bumblefoot. Like it got something in there and that's causing an infected clean, some, antibiotic, not with pain relievers, just regular antibiotic ointment. And, do that to keep it from getting infected. All right, Taco says, are there any ways to make your own feed or maybe a supplement to add nutrients at cost? Yeah, there's plenty of ways. I don't know that I'm going to be able to answer that one for you exactly what they are. I just feed a game bird starter, and that is nutritionally, that's everything they need right there. So when you start looking at mixing your own feed or something, that gets pretty complicated because quail are omnivores. They're not vegetarians, and they're not, completely carnivores. There we go. They do eat both meat and vegetables. They don't. When you think of meat, it's a little different. It's insects mostly is what they eat, but they need both of those in their diet to have a full nutritional diet. So it gets a little tricky when you start wanting to mix your own feed. I don't know the specifics of it, so I can't really give you the details on, this much of that and this much of that and mix that all together. Now, if you have like low protein feed and you want to add some protein to it or something, catfish food's fine. Dried cat food is fine. Those are usually pretty high protein, and grinding those up and mixing those in with their feed will boost the protein level of your feed. I don't know. It doesn't hurt the nutritional value of it necessarily, but I don't know that it adds anything to the nutritional value. If you're getting a good game bird starter or a turkey starter, those are nutritionally, you don't need to add anything. It's fine the way it is, and you don't really need to do anything. But sorry, I can't give you a better answer on that. It's just not my area of expertise. So sorry. All right. What is this? Ilk. I'm going to just call you Ilk. Says, Chris, thanks for getting me into quail. I've heard that giving meat quail too much light can make them tough. I don't really want to keep mine in the dark. It seems mean. Will I be able to tell? Yeah, I don't know. I guess too much light, like if it's 24 hours a day of light, I don't know. I guess that could make them a little bit tougher. Quail in general is going to be a little bit on the tough side because it's very lean. There's not a lot of fat in it. So it's not going to be, it's going to be a little bit on the tough side. Not terribly tough, but a little bit. Yeah, you don't want to keep them in the dark all the time either because then they won't lay eggs. And they need 14 hours a day of light to lay eggs on a regular basis. So the best bet is if you've got them inside Set a, buy a cheap timer, plug it into the wall, and set it to kick on and off. Give them 14 hours of light a day and kick it off, and give them the rest of the time of the night. I don't know that there's really that big of a difference though on the quality of the meat by giving them light all the time, but I think that's probably pretty cruel too. They need a period of darkness. They need nighttime, in my opinion. All right, Susie says, my quail freak out every time they see me. I don't know why. Sometimes some birds are more jumpy than others, and they kind of do. Sometimes when I walk up to the hutches, they just flip out and they start going kind of nutty. Other times they're pretty calm and pretty mellow. I don't know what the difference is either. Wish I could tell you, but I don't know. If you spend a lot more time with them, talking to them and getting them used to you being around, they'll get over that eventually. But it's a pretty big time investment to do that. What do we? I missed something. Are we talking about rabbit starvation? Did I miss that comment? Robert Farabee, I must not be seeing Robert Farabee's comments. I see people responded to you, but I don't see your comment. There it is. Rabbit meat is too lean. There we go. Sorry, got distracted. Rabbit meat is too lean to eat every day. You can get protein disease. Yeah, well, you can. You're right. And I think this is what everybody else is saying too. Only if that's the only thing you're eating. If you're not eating anything else. If you're eating other things, you're going to get enough other stuff in your diet that you're not going to get protein disease from it. But yeah, it's a valid concern if all you do is eat rabbit. Kathy says it's all about the breeding and bacon fat. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Was that about the frying the? No, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm lost on where we're talking about. Maybe that was about the fried rabbit. And yeah, you're right. It's about grease or fat, bacon grease for sure. All right, Robert. I know it's just what people referred to it back in the day, hunting wild rabbits. Oh, getting protein disease? Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, My Little Patch says, hi, Chris, notice the roof on your coop sits higher than the cage itself. Why? I get asked that question a lot. When you get the side, when you get the sideway rain, do they get wet? Happy birthday to your wife. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you. Excuse me. The reason I put my roof higher than the quail hutch itself, I don't know if I really thought about this to begin with. It just seems like the thing to do. I do the same thing with my rabbits. But I like to have that space up there to be able to set things up there, set the egg bucket up there whenever I'm collecting eggs. I have a tool that sits up there that I use to scrape out the door hinges whenever they get sand in them. The screen that I use to clean out the hutches, it sits on top of the hutch as well. Yeah, it's a valid concern that when you get rain, it can rain inside the hutch, and it does on the one side. Now on the other side where the sandbox is, I've got clear, like 6 mil plastic, clear plastic, sheeting, and I've stapled that down all the way around, stuffed a 2x4 under it, so it's got a little bit of a peak, and so the rain doesn't get in that side of the hutch. That stays dry. Sometimes, it's not every time that it rains that they get wet inside there, but yeah, sometimes it does rain through the screened inside. Sometimes the birds don't mind; they just hang out in the rain, and sometimes they go into the other side and get out of the rain. But anyway, it's worked well for me. So I laugh because I get asked that question all the time, and people are always asking me, "Why'd you put your roof so high?" And I just did. That just seemed to be the same thing to do. I think it does help with the ventilation in the summertime, especially the screened-in part of it. They've just got lots of airflow through there, and I think that does help. All right, Yerbis says, I have 7 dogs, and I buy a rabbit every day to give it to them with the kibble. That's why I want 7 rabbits a week. Okay, that makes sense. I never thought about it that. You're right. That makes sense. Hey, Boris, how are you? Good to see you. Verna says, best to use quail for that. The eggs you can give them every day. Makes their coats shiny, and the innards as well as what you do not save for your consumption can be fixed for the dogs. Well, that's a good idea. Verna says, Chris, I've learned everything I know from you, Terry, and Zach. Awesome. Well, thank you for the kind comments. It's nice to be included with those guys. Bubba says, done my first quail on the grill, and they were delicious. Barbecue quail, you can't beat it. They are pretty good on a grill, I agree. But just about everything seems to be a little better on a grill. All right, Jesse. Do you ever get random white quail out of your jumbos? We've hatched several this year, but none last year. I don't think I've ever gotten a white quail out of my jumbo quail. No, I don't think it's ever happened. All right, Dingo says, do you ever have raccoon problems with your quail? No, I don't actually. Raccoons, because I put a trail cam out there every once in a while just to see what's coming around. And I've had raccoons on the trail cam coming up, and you can see them like reaching up trying to figure out, and they just give up and go on. They've never actually gotten to any of the birds, so it's never been a problem. All right, Mark says, nope, didn't fix the water cups. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Well, hopefully you get them fixed soon. All right. Oh, another drink here real quick. Logan, I'm pretty sure that one of my grow out rabbits has a broken foot. What should I do? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You're going to have to evaluate how the rabbit's doing. I mean, if it's still getting around just fine, it's eating and drinking regularly, I mean, just leave it alone. Who knows? It's probably going to be just fine. But if it seems to be, you may have to isolate it as soon as you can, get it away from the other rabbits so they don't pick on it or anything. But if it's really like, if it's just sitting in the corners and moping around and not really eating and those things, I think I'd just call it and put it out of its misery. There's not a whole lot you can do to fix a broken foot, unfortunately. And it depends on, too, if it's its front foot or its back foot. If it's its back foot, I think that might be a little bit more of a problem, but I don't know for sure. So I would say just watch the rabbit's behavior. You know, you can tell a lot by looking at an animal's eyes if they are shiny and bright or if they're dull and flat, and you know, you can kind of tell their attitude, their mood a little bit that way. And again, their behavior on how they're reacting to, you know, are they getting up and mingling with the other rabbits? Are they getting into the food fine? All that kind of stuff. All right, Brody says, can you use 1 by 1/2 inch wire on the quail cage floor? You can try it. I think that's probably a little bit big on the spacing, and you might end up with the quail getting like their feet caught in it, a little bit harder on their feet. I like to use a smaller wire. It just gives them a little bit more of a flat surface to walk on. But you could try it and see, and if it doesn't work, then take it off and put some smaller wire on there. But that would be my concern. All right, Andrew says, do you ever let quail sit on eggs on hatching? No. Then quail typically don't go broody, at least not in a cage system. I know there are some reports in like aviary setups that they would go broody and they've hatched out their own eggs, but you usually don't get good results from Coturnix quail anyway, trying to hatch their own eggs. So I incubate them all. I've never had a quail that I was sure went broody. I've had a couple of times where I thought maybe they're trying to, but it never seemed to happen. All right. Rachel, getting eggs ready to go Saturday. Awesome. Good luck with your hatch. Hope it goes well. Mitch says, first harvest today, 35 to 40 roosters from the first batch of day-old Coturnix plus about 16 bob whites that I hatched out. Well, good job. That's a lot of quails. Hopefully it all went well. All right, Will says, last weekend we put 2-week-old quail in the grow-out pen with 9-week-old birds, and some of the mature hens are molting or mothering them. So yeah, it seems to be like when you put baby quail in with them, they accept them in, and they do seem to kind of take care of them. I think that's a good way to do it. All right, good evening to you, Gary and Leo Wolf. Good evening to both you guys. Verna says, Chris, I can't get game bird starters, so I remembered what you said about cat food. So I made my own recipe of chick starter to cat food, and my quail are growing like weeds. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. How we doing on time? Another 7 minutes. Mason says, any suggestions on how to cook quail? That's a common question here lately. Maybe I'm gonna have to do some videos on that. One of the best ways I like to do it is to cut the meat off the breast and cut the breast meat off the bone, I should say. And then you can it's kind of flat. It's not very big. You can put some blue cheese in the middle of that, fold it over, wrap it with some bacon, and brush it with some like Frank's Red Hot. That's really, really good. Or put some, cheddar cheese in the middle with maybe some jalapeno, diced up jalapeno, fold that over, wrap it up with bacon, and brush it with barbecue sauce. And then you just cook those off on the grill or in your oven, and they're pretty good that way. That's one of my favorite ways. But I think quail does best hot and fast rather than slow and low. So I think I would just, however you decide to cook it, try to go higher heat and for shorter time. It doesn't take very long. And try not to overcook it. It cooks pretty quick, and you can actually get away with quail being a little undercooked, not like chicken. Chicken, you undercook it, you stand a chance of salmonella. It's not really a big risk, and it's not really a risk at all in quail. So you can end up cooking it just a little bit more like medium, not rare, but medium, and get away with that, and it's a little bit better that way. All right, Shayna says, I'm going to call you Shayna anyway. Cat food for quail? I didn't hear about that. Sounds useful right now. Can you elaborate? Yeah, basically, Shayna, it's just a way, if you can't find a good high-quality feed. I like to feed 25% or higher protein to my birds. And if you can't find a feed that has 25% or higher protein, you can get catfish food or cat food, dry cat food. Grind that up and mix that in with your feed to bring the protein levels up. You just mix them in basically by weight. So figure out whatever protein the cat food is, whatever protein the bird feed that you're feeding your birds are, and then it's hard for me to explain here, and then you would just mix enough cat food in by weight to bring your protein levels up, if that makes sense. So let's say you've got a pound of each, and this one's at 25% protein, and this one's at 10% protein. So when you combine that together, you're going to have 2 pounds, and then you divide that by the protein. What did I say? 25 and 10. So 35 divided by 2. So that's going to put it at, 18% roughly protein, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's kind of what we were talking about. All right, Gingerbeard says, good evening, Chris. Hope all is well in your neck of the woods. Doing pretty good here in Kentucky. Very glad to hear that. Thanks for coming to the live broadcast. We're doing a short, those of you guys who joined late, it's going to be a shorter broadcast, only 30 minutes tonight. It's my wife's birthday. I'm taking her out to dinner. So we're going to just end this one a little bit short here in about 5 minutes. Sorry it's so short. Didn't want to just leave you guys high and dry. I wanted to jump in here, but we are going to have to hurry. All right, Nico. Mason says, how do you keep your cage clean for your quail? Honestly, it's pretty much self-cleaning. With the wire, all the droppings fall through, so there's nothing to do there. The sandboxes I clean out a couple of times a year, maybe once every 3 months, something like that, and I just use a screen. It's actually a window screen that's meant to go like it's like this tall and that wide, and it's meant to go in like a window, like with an air conditioning unit. You could slide it and make it longer or shorter or whatever. I broke it in half, so now I have 2 of them. And I just use that to sift the sand out, sift the droppings out of the sand. Do that about once or twice, 2 or 3 times a year, a couple times a year. And then that's it. That's really about all I got, or all I have to do. All right, Petaway says, smash that like button, folks. Thank you. Glow says, good night, sir. Quick question. How many times do I have to feed my rabbits? You should feed, I feed mine once a day, but you should feed them. Don't try not to overfeed them. Just feed them as much as they'll eat within about 24 hours. That's about probably somewhere around 6 to 8 ounces. Now, if you've got grow out rabbits that are under 6 weeks, I would say under 12 weeks old, then you want to keep feeding for them all the time. Just keep their feeders full all the time. And same thing for your does that are nursing. If they've got babies in their nursing, just fill the feeder up. But other than that, your adult rabbits, usually about a cup, 8 ounces roughly a day. Just kind of monitor, and you'll get a feel for how much they're going to eat. So I feed pretty much the same time every morning. I go out and I look in the feeder, and if there's a little bit of feed left in there, I don't give them quite as much feed that day, just a little bit less. And if I go out there and the feeder's empty and I dump food in there and they just jump in head first and start eating, I give them just a little bit more. And you'll kind of figure out where that sweet spot is. You want to feed them just about as much as they'll clean up within 24 hours. Hopefully that helps. All right, Susie says, Chris, what brand of cat food would you say to use to help feed the quail for extra protein? Thank you. I don't know that it matters too much what brand the cat food is. If you can get it, catfish food's probably better. It's going to be way cheaper. But you just have to look at it, what the protein level is in it, and try to get one with a pretty high protein if that's what you're trying to do. But I don't know what brand's really the best to use for them. That's a good question. I'm going to have to do a little more research on that. Let's see. I'm going to skip that one because that's talking to somebody else. Logan. The rabbit seems to be doing pretty good so far, so we'll see how it goes. The rabbit with the broken foot, yeah, good luck with it. I hope it works out. Robert says, what items would you recommend to have on hand at all times for rabbits, daily care, or emergency items? Boy, that's a good question. There's not a whole lot. I mean, of course, rabbit food, feeders, and waters, that's the key, the main things you have to have on hand. I also keep mineral oil or olive oil on hand because rabbits get ear mites all the time and it's pretty easy to treat. Little eyedropper to use to treat them with whenever they get them. The other things you could use would be something like Blue Coat, which is like for wound treatment and stuff. There's not really a whole lot of other things I have to keep on hand all the time. That's pretty much it. All right, how are we doing on time? Ooh, about 1 minute. I got enough time for a couple of more comments and then we're done. Thought I heard something moving around in here. Maybe I got a mouse. Who knows? All right, Mason says, how to tell if baby quail that hatched a week ago are male or female? Probably, it depends on what they are. If they are brown, jumbo brown, standard brown color, then give them another week maybe. and you'll probably get you'll probably be able to tell at that point. If there are a different breed, a different kind, are we still going here, or is everything frozen up? Hopefully it's working. I'm seeing the video in the background. Does not seem to be moving on my end. I think that's my internet connection, but I think hopefully we're still good. All right, well, I'm just going to keep talking like we are, and hopefully we are. So yeah, you can give them till they're about 2.5, 3 weeks old. Once they fully feather out, you should be able to tell the male from the female. The male have a kind of a solid colored, rust colored breast. The female have a speckled breast. If they are not standard browns, if they're like whites or tuxedos or something like that, you got to wait till they get up to maturity. The roosters start crowing, the females start laying eggs, and then you can just vent sex them at that point. All right, couple questions. No, we're out of time, guys. I'm sorry. I got to wrap this one up for the night. I'm sorry I did not get to all of your comments tonight. I'll work on getting to them later. Well, actually, I probably won't. I'll work on getting to them next week when we do the live broadcast again. Hopefully, I'm trying to free up some time so I can get in and start answering your comments again. Thank you guys for joining me tonight, spending some time. Thanks for forgiving me for doing a short live broadcast tonight. God bless each and every one of you, and hopefully we will see you guys again next week. Take care.